All right. Hi, welcome to my channel where I talk a lot about nervous system regulation, getting better, healing trauma. And today I want to talk a little bit more about when we get stuck in a freeze pattern or something called dorsal vagal, which is a polyvagal term. Polyvagal was a system of healing created by Porges. He has a whole book about it. It's used by a lot of therapists to help people who were in trauma to get out of it, to snap out of it, to start living healthy, happy lives. And so just a quick recap of what polyvagal theory is. So it's essentially based on a ladder theory, meaning that at the very top of the ladder, you have something called ventral vagal, which is healthy, happy, whole. Like you're just joyful all day. You are at peace. You are in a relaxed state. You have access to all of the positive emotions on the human spectrum. And that's when your nervous system is at complete rest, meaning that it's not in freak out mode. So then you would go down the ladder and you would find sympathetic mode, which is when you're in that sort of heightened state of like anxiety and stress and something's wrong and looking for what that is. So you're in, I like to describe it as, I've been in it many times when I am trying to rush to finish things because like I have a deadline or I am really tired, but I have to cook dinner. Like then I'm like accessing kind of like fumes. I guess it'd be a good word for it. You're kind of running on fumes a little bit, but usually there's something chasing you, either a thought or you have just like a time limit, or there's a danger nearby that is real or imagined, anything like that. That would kind of put you in this sort of anxious, high energy state. And then the third would be dorsal vagal. And there are mixed states too, but I'm just gonna, for the purpose of this video, focus on the three main ones. So dorsal vagal is a complete shutdown. So like the stress has completely gotten to you, you cannot get out of it. I like to describe this as the negative thoughts get really loud. So if you're ever in a space where your thoughts are negative, very negative, and you just feel kind of immobilized, like you can't do anything, this is dorsal vagal. Dorsal vagal is a very common response to severe trauma. I think any kind of level of trauma can trigger it. It's just helplessness. Some people describe this as learned helplessness, where you just kind of like can't get yourself out of the mud puddle, or you're just stuck in quicksand. Very common. So so that's the ladder. So ideally we're moving up the ladder, not down the ladder, but you can go in either direction. And usually it's step by step. So you want to go, when you're trying to rise up the ladder, you're going to go from dorsal vagal, which is the shutdown. You're going to just reach for something, like a ladder handle above you. And then you can climb yourself out of it. Trying to get yourself from dorsal vagal, complete shutdown, to peace and everything's great. It's not possible, right? And if you think you're in peace and everything's great, then you need to ask yourself, do you have any negative thoughts circulating? Do you feel inactivated? Do you feel like you can't do certain things in your life? Well, then you might have dorsal vagal operating. Like I said, there are definitely mixed states, and those are important as well. And you can start to observe them. As you start to observe each of these individual states, you'll notice that you kind of have some going on at the same time. Like I might be relatively ventral vagal, but then also have some anxiety going on. Even if I can be like, okay, I'm just going to release that and return back to ventral vagal, it might be there. So today on this video, I want to talk a little bit about my favorite remedies to get yourself up that ladder and to keep yourself in what I described as a ventral vagal state. Stephen Porges' term. How do we get there? How do we stay there? So these are a few of my favorite practices to do that. And one of them is a breathwork practice. It's called Buteyko breathwork. I'm not trained in that. I use a specific video that I love, so I'm going to source it below. And so why do we do these practices before I start? So we do these because you have been misled. If you are in trauma and you think that you've got to fix yourself, that there's something wrong, that's all a symptom of the trauma. I know that was really big, so I just want you to like hear that again. Let that land. If you are in a state where you're feeling like you are stuck in trauma or you have the situation because of the trauma, that is the trauma speaking. So I love that quote. You cannot fix a problem from the state of consciousness that created it. But how does that actually come? How does that actually play out in reality? Well, this is how it plays out. It plays out in you have to get yourself out of the state of trauma. So first you have to identify that it's happening through self-awareness. So that's going to be step one. We're going to identify. So we're going to actually develop a practice every single day, just noticing where you are as often as you possibly can. Where am I? I want you to just notice. And if you're having trouble doing that, tune into the sounds around you. Really tune into them. Like, okay, I can hear birds. I can hear the fan on my fridge. I can hear a mechanical whir. I think it's my son's computer. Like those kinds of sounds. So whatever it might be, just tuning into the sounds, not feeling the need to like go beyond that, but just going into the sounds and just noticing and being aware. And then you can start to notice your breathing a little bit. I think when we've been in trauma, it can be hard to get back into our bodies. So just noticing kind of like, okay, my breath, it's right here. Okay, and then just noticing, what are your thoughts doing right now? Okay, like are they, like I described, are they frantic? I've got to go, I can't, I don't have time for this. Well, then you might be in sympathetic. Okay, no, this is stupid, it's not gonna work. Oh, nothing ever works for me. Okay, you're in dorsal. So just identifying, so that's gonna be step one. And then we're gonna move to step two, which is gonna be the practices. So, but first, so what do we do these? You cannot solve the problem from the state of consciousness that created it. So now we're gonna bring you out of that state of consciousness, and what's gonna happen? You're gonna have access to creativity. You're going to have access to motivation, to energy, to everything you need to solve the issue. Okay, so because there's gonna be a lot of problems in our lives that are developed from being in shutdown for a long time. If you have a lot of trauma, then you probably spent many, many years at shutdown at some level. Either you were, a lot of us put on masks, right? We know the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, fix, which you might not know is also one of them, response. And we spend so much time in this, that is living in trauma. And in my experience, when you're living in trauma, you're kind of at some level constantly re-experiencing trauma. Like that trauma energy, it's like the negative thought, that's so hard to live in. So you're in this like perpetual trauma experience. And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna help you to get out of that so that now you have access to what's it feel like to actually be stable right now. And the really great thing about these tools is you can come back to them again and again as many times as you want, and they will help you. And they will help to reestablish you. They're gonna rewire your brain so that you actually stay in a ventral vagal stabilized state as much as possible. Now what's possible when we do this is you will have access to you're going to be able to access the things that will heal you. You'll be able to have stable relationships. The problem with being in a nervous system state that's dysregulated is we often will go and seek relationships to sort of fix ourselves because we need to fix ourselves. It's like that's a symptom obviously of dorsal vagal. Or we'll try to stuff the feelings like with food or something like that, or we'll avoid exercise, we'll avoid the responsibilities that we need to be addressing. We won't eat right. Like all that stuff will happen because we are in sort of this shutdown negative space. Okay, so we want to we just want to switch gears. So let's get ourselves into this ventral vagal state. And once we're there, everything that you desire, and truly, truly everything that you desire is available. So, all right, so what are we gonna do? So first things first, I'm gonna start with one of my very favorite practices. I find this one is gets me, I can't snap, but it gets me there really quickly. So it's called Rosenberg's method. It was created by, I believe his name is Steven Rosenberg. I love this method. He was extending Stephen Porges' work. No, so it couldn't be Stephen. Okay, so he was extending Stephen Porges' work. So Rosenberg is essentially it's one of my favorites. There are several that he's created, different methods. He was very helpful in creating practical ways to regulate the nervous system, whereas Stephen Porges just presented a lot of this theory to the world. And I mean, it's a theory of the nervous system, so this is like, it's real, it's very interesting, it's scientific. And Rosenberg just demonstrated, okay, well, these are ways that we know that we can actually access the nervous system, the vagus nerve, and calm the body down. Okay, we're going to get you out of this stress response. We're going to get you into a space of everything's okay. Life is a safe place to be. Okay, I'm not under threat right now. Okay, like you see dogs shake right after something happens, and then they're fine. Okay, we're gonna get you to that space of fine. So this is like that shaking action, okay, that we're gonna use to get you there. So Rosenberg is very simple. So you're gonna take your hands, I'm gonna actually clip this to myself. You're gonna take your hands and you're gonna place them behind your head, clasping your fingers together. I like to do this when I'm laying down, but you can do it against a surface behind you, or you can just do it like this if you want to. So you're just gonna go ahead and put your hands right behind your head, lean into them, and just relax, okay? Now you're gonna go ahead and take in a deep breath. Go ahead and inhale. And as you exhale, you're gonna look to the right. And you're just gonna keep looking. And you're gonna keep looking and keep looking, keeping your head directly straight with your eyes, only your eyes moving to the right, until you yawn or swallow. Or it's been about 30 seconds. You just want some form of physiological response. You'll feel relaxation, you'll feel that yawn. Yawning is the best, you want the yawn. Okay, and then you're gonna take your eyes and you're gonna go ahead and look to the left and do the exact same thing. I usually do this laying down, so my yawn didn't come as quickly. So go ahead and just look to the left. And then when you're done, you're gonna go ahead and just relax your arms down, and that's it. That is the Rosenberg method. So it is one of my favorites. It's very easy, you can do it anywhere. If I'm in my car somewhere, I'll often I'll just go ahead and like lean my seat back, and I'll do it anywhere. Before I'm going into an event, before I'm meeting friends, if I just happen to get kind of stressed, driving, whatever, I'll do it. It helps a lot. You can just feel yourself kind of decompressing, stress relieving, stress just kind of leaving you. Okay, and then the next one is one I really like. This one, it seems to work really well for me. It's one of my other favorites, but it's just a little more complicated. So similar idea with the eyes, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cross our arms over our chest, and we're gonna take our tongue. So we're gonna go ahead and take our tongue and we're gonna put it into our left cheek. So and then we're gonna look to the right as we do this. And as we look to the right, we're gonna pat our left shoulder. I know there's a lot of little steps here, so just kind of, once you got it, it's simple. But so cross your arms. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and put our tongue into our left cheek. And we're gonna pat on that same side, okay? So then at the same time, we're gonna look to the right. So we're gonna go ahead and start. So tongue in the left cheek, and we're gonna pat. And we're gonna do this until we yawn or have another physiological reaction, or it's been about 30 seconds. So I had a pretty quick response that time, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch. So now we're gonna go ahead and put our tongue into our right cheek, and we're gonna pat our right shoulder. And we're gonna look to the left, okay? So look to the left, tongue in the right cheek, right shoulder. Okay, that was really fast. Okay, so I love that one. Very quick, very simple. What I like about these is they're not super hyperactive. They're very simple. And I think I used to do a lot of tapping, and you can use tapping. I actually think tapping can be really helpful. But I noticed that I used it so often when I was stressed that now I actually have somewhat of a stress response to it. So you want to find what works for you. And I find that Rosenberg and polytasking, which is what I just showed you, are very simple. So let's go ahead and we're going to move on. I'm going to show you kind of briefly what Buteyko is, but I want you to watch the video. I love it. It's an incredible way to stop a panic attack if you're having one. And what it is you're just kind of breathing in and then exhaling a little bit longer and then holding. And then you're breathing in a little bit less and exhaling a little bit longer and then holding. And it just goes on like that. So I'll put that link below and definitely check that one out. And the other one I like is called just a physiological sigh. So it's very simple. So you're just gonna go ahead and grab your left side with your right hand, and you're gonna kind of cradle your other side with your arm. And the idea is to just feel really held. And then you're gonna go ahead and breathe in, and then just let it go. So breathing in. So that's another one. So that's 4. And then we're gonna do number 5, which is, I like this one. There's a lot of other eye tracking exercises you can do, but this one for me is my favorite. It tends to help the most. And it's the simplest. So it's just a figure 8. We're gonna go ahead and take our thumb and we're gonna place it directly in front of our eyes so that we're just looking right at our thumbnail. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our thumb and we're gonna draw a figure 8. And we're gonna track our thumb with our eyes the entire time without moving our head. So keep your head still and just track your thumbnail with your eyes, making a figure 8. Make sure you're breathing as you do this. I like to time my breath so that I'm inhaling as I go out into the 8. Exhaling as I do the other side. And then we're going to stop. And if you want, you can go the other way. We just do this as long as you can. And if you want to add a little bonus, there's something called a VU breath, which is a very activating tone for the vagus nerve, which is what helps to regulate our entire nervous system. So you can actually add a VU breath while you do this. So you can go VU. So VU. And if you want, you can do it for the entire breath. You don't have to, you can keep going if you can breathe for a long time. You just go ahead and keep doing the 8. Yeah, I find that really helpful as well. So if you're in a panic state and you want to calm yourself down, these 5 exercises are my absolute favorite. They will completely get you back into a ventral vagal state. I find they're the most helpful. I know there are a lot of other exercises you can do. I highly recommend you don't wait until you're in a stress state to do them. So do them every morning and every evening to start, and as many other times throughout the day as you can, as you remember. Obviously, if you get into a stress state and you need them, I suggest that you use them, but don't wait. Don't just end up in like freak out mode and now you need them. And it's like, because I also think that can, like I did with the tapping, I don't personally, I've done them I've done all these exercises many times when I was in like a freak out state. I haven't associated them negatively. I think these ones are pretty hardy in terms of like, they're very simple and very calming. And so they actually only have positive associations for me, but I still would rather you just start to train your body into a ventral vagal state. If you've had a lot of trauma, chances are you're just not used to being in that state. And so this will help you to live there more often so you don't get there, because it's really hard. It's painful when those negative thoughts start to loop. It's like really, it can be scary, and it's very easy to get stuck there. So let's prevent that by being proactive and doing these as often as you can every single day. And I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments. Take care.